Hey everybody, it's your humble host Himj here, bringing you the inaugural episode of Himj's Memory Hole, the short show where I yabber about a great game you may or may not have played or heard about. Today's entry is the lovely Donut County. Donut County is an indie puzzle game created by Ben Esposito and published by Annapurna Interactive. You might recognize the creator's name as he worked on The Unfinished Swan, and you probably recognize the publisher name. They've helped publish plenty of other great indies, such as Outer Wilds, Neon White, and Stray. But none of those are the game we're talking about here today. Released in 2018 on most platforms and on Android in 2020, the game was highly praised, even winning iOS Game of the Year. Despite being such a critic's darling, the game still seems to have flown under the radar of most gamers. The story of Donut County is simple and straightforward. You and your animal friends have fallen into a rather large hole that has sucked up your town, and you try to piece together how and why this happened, and how to get your town out of the hole. Now, you might be inclined to believe that this will involve a lot of wandering around like an old point-and-click adventure game, but the gameplay is something a bit more unique and exciting. You play as the hole itself. Yes, the hole. The thing that has been sucking up your town. That's you. That's your gameplay loop. Suck and devour the town, its inhabitants, and their stuff, all while looking at beautifully vibrant and colorful art and listening to some lo-fi hip-hop-like tracks, with some soft indie rock and even a banger of a house track, but more on the soundtrack later. Creator Ben Esposito was apparently inspired by a Twitter parody account of Peter Molyneux. The tweet in question described a game where you play as a hole and get objects to fall in the hole, and the game has been described as a sort of reverse Katamari Damacy. A very apt comparison, since I was literally going to write that before discovering that everyone else had made that comparison in interviews, and made me feel rather unoriginal. As you can see from the footage, this game is a beauty. A slew of sharp colors with plenty of contrast and shading help make things look great in motion. It's minimalist at times, for sure, but that gives it an actual aesthetic that is memorable and distinct. Honestly, the game looks just as gorgeous as it did when I first played it years ago, and will likely always be visually appealing because of the simpler art design and direction. The environments look lush and full without being overly cluttered, especially once you've collected all the junk, and there are plenty of different environmental styles and themes to go around. The character designs are cute, with lots of friends from the animal kingdom being represented. There's also this favorite screen of mine that is in my wallpaper rotation because of how well made it is. While the gameplay is fairly simple, move the hole around to collect objects, there's enough variety to keep things fresh. Puzzles, outside of how do I get the hole to be bigger, play an integral part in keeping you engaged. They aren't needlessly complex. Maybe you need to suck up a brick to unlock a gate, or reveal objects hidden underwater by filling your hole with water and having a drinking bird drink from the hole to empty it again. But the puzzles are unique enough from the core gameplay loop that you do something other than just find the next biggest object to consume. There are some minor changes in gameplay towards the end, that I won't spoil for obvious reasons, that felt a little rough around the edges, but since the mechanics are essentially introduced for the purposes of wrapping up the game, I can easily forgive some minor strangeness in game physics and controls. There are occasional weird hiccups with the hole's physics, which can cause objects to fly out, but honestly, these minor bounces and bumps are more endearing than frustrating. It is clear that some of the UI was designed with touchscreens in mind, but that is such a tiny, almost non-issue, I feel bad even bringing it up. The only real negative for some is that the game is short. You can easily beat it in an evening or two depending upon your session length, but that's also a strength of Donut County in a way. It doesn't overstay its welcome or try to monopolize your time like so many games do. The core concept is unique in the best way, and executed so well that even when recording the B-roll footage for this video, I had trouble stopping myself from playing through the whole game again. The soundtrack to this game is as lovely as its aesthetic. Lo-fi hip-hop-like beats and smooth jazzy-like tracks seamlessly tie in as natural extensions of the game's pastel and minimalist look. There's plenty of ukulele to go around, but it doesn't feel as forced as that might sound. It's a natural extension of the game's, for a lack of a better word, vibe. It's low stress, easy to digest, and not there to create tension. It works as well outside the game as it does in. I wrote a non-trivial amount of this script listening to the soundtrack. The music also properly highlights more pressing moments when it needs to. As I mentioned earlier, there is an absolute bop of a house track that plays when the story starts to shift into its climax, and some more robust and intense songs that play for dramatic effect when needed. It's not all chill. The entire town did get sucked into a hole, you know. The game sounds themselves are pleasant. Characters speak in a Simlish-like speech during scenes, and the sounds of objects interacting with the environment, and whole, sound crisp. There really isn't much, if anything, to complain about on the audio front. Donut County is such a charming and unique game, you owe it to yourself to try it out. If the length worries you, for whatever price it's currently being sold for, you can definitely find it on sale. In fact, I think I bought it on sale for less than $10. It's the perfect bite-sized way to round out a long lazy weekend, or relax and unwind after a stressful week. Thanks for watching Himj's Memory Hole. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you are so inclined to, or leave a comment if you also enjoyed Donut County.